Kansas City's T-Mobile Center. Uh-oh.
I know your parents. I know your parents.
Yeah.
They dressed you to dress better than you. You have been
cold.
freezing.
I've had people
Why
ask
don't
me,
you wear a jacket?
You see people wandering around in the background wearing jackets.
Parkas.
They are right. I am wrong. It actually feels pretty good now. Right now, we got the sunshine
freezing.
coming on us. We're hopping in and out. Not what we're here to talk about today, though. Neil, we got KU taking the court for the first time this week, later this evening. We've watched a couple games so far this morning. I want to just start with the overall atmosphere. We just got out of the pep rally. You know, I know you've been talking to a lot of fans today.
Well, I don't want to make K-State fans mad, but this has been such an awful K-State season.
Yeah.
I think
they would agree with that.
Their basketball fans did not turn out in big numbers for the men. The women, they drew pretty well for the championship game or the semifinal last week. But the reality is a bunch of people feel like the tournament has finally begun. A friend of mine walked by from Lee Summit. He goes, Neil, you should have been here yesterday. There was just echoes. There was nobody here. Nobody really cared. There were no local teams playing. And now you can feel the vibe. You can feel the excitement. And oh, by the way, it's going to be a great matchup tonight, TCU and Kansas.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I was here the last 2 days. Yesterday, Neil, I was at the Iowa State game. It was empty, and that's a fan base that travels really well. I think they were waiting for today and specifically tomorrow to drive down from Ames, but expecting a big crowd tonight.
I'm stunned about that. They usually do turn out
early in the week. I think they're not used to playing this early in the week.
Is it possible a bunch of them were arrested during the women's tournament and they didn't get out until
also,
today?
How crazy is it that this is the 7th ranked team in the country in Iowa State and they didn't even get the double bye in the Big 12 tournament? I mean, that just speaks to how big this weekend is. And Neil, we're going to have, I think, the semis and the championship, we're going to have an Elite Eight caliber game here at the T-Mobile Center.
This is the best day of basketball that I've ever covered. I covered the Big Eight when you had Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma. They were all in the top 5, 6 in the country, where they had been trading who was number one for the last 3 weeks leading into the tournament, and we thought it could never get better. It has gotten better. All 8 teams, if you look at bracketology and all that other stuff, all 8 teams are predicted to be safely in March Madness. That's never happened. So UCF, the only team that was kind of on the bubble, they won, so they're presumably in. It is a wild year for the Big 12.
Let's sidestep and then we're going to come back, because you said on the bubble, and that just made me think about Mizzou's loss today. Dropping to Kentucky in the second round, which was Mizzou's opening game. Neil, on Sunday you're going to be in Lawrence. Mark's going to be in Columbia. Does Mizzou make the cut?
Will Mark's wife let him go to Columbia? See, I predict that she's going to say he can't go to Columbia, and I have to go to Columbia because of what happened last year in Columbia. But anyway, that's another story that'll be in my book. But the fact is, I think Mizzou is on the bubble, partly because the SEC has not been the conference. A year ago, they were the best conference in basketball, top to bottom, and then they ended up winning. Florida ends up winning the national championship, upsetting Houston. This year, they're not that great, so a lot of the victories that seem good aren't that great. I do think Missouri's still in, but I think it will affect their seeding line.
Looking ahead to tonight's game, we've got another one at 6, but Neil, all these fans, we've seen, I mean, most of what you're seeing behind me is red and blue for KU fans. We had the press conference, pep rally just a minute ago. Playing TCU tonight, we haven't seen these two teams square off in a very long time. It's been I think it was the 3rd game of the season. KU surmounts an unbelievable comeback in the final minute, but in basketball time, that might as well have been 3 years ago, because we have so many different teams.
I don't agree.
You don't think so? Why?
I don't agree. TCU had a 16-point lead at Allen Fieldhouse.
I agree, but that was before this team found their footing. Darren Peterson wasn't playing really well at all. Melvin Council didn't put up big numbers.
Have you forgotten what it was like to be a player? You played, and I got to tell you, you
I
don't think they know? We blew that game. Our coach blew it. We blew it. We were kicking their rear ends. They've got to be furious about it, and they're going to get their chance to do it.
I'll tell you what, though. I think the team we saw in any college basketball team you see in early January is not the same team you'll see in the second week of March. So I'm excited to see how these two teams have come together. TCU took a very different route the last couple of weeks here. We saw KU drop 3 of their last 5. We'll see how that goes, but I'm excited to see this one, because these are two equally matched teams. You got a 3 and a 6 seed. And again, you go back to, that win a couple of months ago now, but I think we got two different teams tonight.
TCU has won 9 of their last 10 games.
Yeah.
They come in streaking. Now, they haven't beaten the world. It's like they played the lower half of the league, kind of like Kansas did early in the year. But I do believe, I will give you this, that TCU victory was a critical moment for KU. It was the third conference game of the year. Yes, nothing's decided. There are a lot of games left. But if they lose that, and then they lose that next game, which they got beat.
They're going to start 0-4. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, they are in major trouble. And what we are talking about, because I know you would have brought it up, Neil, are they going to fire Coach Bill Self? Has he gotten too old? Is it time to retire? And Mark Palos was going, oh, he's done, Neil, he's done. Because that's the way young people are. They forget about the past. The reality is that was a turning point. Kansas dominated the last 5 minutes of that game with some help from TCU playing badly. Their coach, who's a really good basketball coach, makes a couple of huge mistakes, and they end up losing the game that they probably should have won. I guarantee they have every reason to believe they can beat them, and they come playing great basketball right now. I think they're playing with house money. No pressure on them, so I think TCU is going to come in and play loose and easy.
Yeah, you were, was it 1-1, 0-2 at that point in the Big 12, and you had just dropped that game to UCF and West Virginia. So I think fans would have hit the panic button at that point, but certainly
media would have.
Very early.
Media would have
in the Big 12 season, and we've seen what they've done since then. It's kind of reminiscent of what that 2022 team did when they lost at TCU, and then they won the rest of the way, including the national championship. So. Big one tonight. You got another big one tomorrow, presumably, if you're able to get past TCU today. But KU right now is looking for seeding. I think if you lose today, you're looking at a 5. If you make it to Saturday, you're looking at a 3. If you win Saturday, you're looking at 2. So big positioning battle coming up today. Neil, I want to... Oh, sorry.
Real quick. Now, you and I both have had issues with TCU. Their attack dog tried to maul me last week right there in the lobby. Yeah. You know, the TCU...
20-pound Frenchie.
The TCU dog snarled at me and tried to bite me during a live shot. You had a bad experience in Fort Worth, and so I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm trying to remember. I lost my wallet. My wallet got stolen. I did not lose my wallet.
You lost your wallet? Someone picked it up.
Yeah, I dropped my wallet on the ground, and someone said, what an opportunity. It just took it, to be fair.
But listen.
We do have some negative memories with TCU,
and I'll tell you what, Danny Welniak and I were down there. We were all with the same company, even though we're not at the same station. And we made sure that she was given all the free soft drinks she needed. We didn't feed her, but she lived on soft drinks in the media room.
That's a bit of a hike down there, too. Man, that feels like a long time ago. I'll tell you what, though. This KU team we're following this year, I think has... I'm not comparing them to 2022.
You are getting ready to... You're doing it.
I am saying
you're going to do it.
I'm not going to do it. I am saying that this is the first team that I think has had that spark that's given Bill Self. Think about the win over Arizona and the way he hugged Melvin Council after that game. He's not doing that with Hunter Dickinson and that kind of group in the last couple of years here. So it's been kind of cool to see.
Why do you hold up? It's not Hunter. Everything's not Hunter's problem.
Yeah,
you were you played that position. Come on.
I'm saying Bill Self didn't cling on to the group.
Okay, you're the basketball expert. Let me ask you some questions. Is there anybody on the national championship team in 2022 who is better than the best player on this Kansas team when he's healthy?
Oh, than Darren Peterson. Well, Christian Brown said that Darren Peterson is the best player to ever play at Kansas. So take it from CB. Do I agree with it? Not necessarily.
Yeah, Will Chamberlain, pretty good. I thought Wilt was pretty good.
He was talking modern era, but yes.
But to me, that's modern.
Yeah, it
was during my life. My life, I was alive when Wilt was there.
Neil, okay, let's pivot. I want to talk about really what's been the storyline that we've been covering a lot these last couple days, mainly because K-State lost early, and we've been looking forward to this Kansas game for so long. But the courts, you've seen it in action a little bit. We heard Texas Tech's Christian Anderson say today that it was slippery, and that's why he pulled his groin. He's the projected number 16 pick in this year's NBA draft. Mixed opinions. If you talk to anyone you're seeing out here, they're going to either love it or hate it. Players seem to be leaning on it's a little bit slippery, and the bright lights can be a little bit disorienting at times. Neil, I'm curious your take.
Well, I was very, very disappointed when I watched one of the games on Tuesday night. I was over at Rob Rhodes, our former photographer, Rob Rhodes. Shout out to Rob, retired now. I was over having dinner with he and his wife, and we sat down and turned on the television. And on television, the angle of the TV is not the angle you see live. On live, it's a beautiful court with texture. You know, it looks like wood. It looks like fake wood over here inside the arc, and then outside the arc is that 12 pattern. On television, it just looks like gray. It looks like a blacktop. It's terrible. And my wife, who was a former sports reporter, and she said that might be the ugliest court I've ever seen. And I go, Liz, it really is impressive in person.
Yeah.
But they haven't perfected it. I mean, I will say this, I've read, I don't know this for a fact, but I have read that there are NBA franchises that use that floor for practice courts. So I don't think it's a dangerous court, although it does appear to be a little bit slippery at times.
Yeah, I know the NBA used it in their 2024 All-Star game. We were in the Iowa State locker room yesterday, and all three of those guys we talked to independently said it's slippery. And then echoed what Taj Manning said for K-State on, what was that, Tuesday night? He said one of the Wildcats got a migraine from it.
And did not play very much because of it. He had to go in, go out. He'd raise his hand and pull himself out. He played like 10 minutes less than he normally does. The last game of the year, you want to play, and you get out there on this big stage, and he wasn't able to because of these migraines. It's a serious issue.
Yeah, something to follow. And I'll be curious in about a year's time if we're looking at a hardwood court again. I think Brett Yormark is on the cutting edge of all of these things. We have DJ Khaled performing here on Saturday night. I know Shaq has been here in the past. He likes to kind of mesh culture, entertainment, and basketball, which is the direction this is going with NIL. But
so it's interesting. I got multiple calls from networks saying, would you do podcasts, would you do live shots for us on Tuesday this week? And I said, no, I'm off and I'm going to play golf or whatever, so I can't do it. But everybody was interested. So I saw Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, last weekend on Saturday when Kansas State was playing, and he saw me and came over and said hi. And I said, hey, I'm hearing from everybody about the floor. Congratulations. Home run. What a home run. And then all this stuff starts coming out, and now, people, their eyes are crossing and all this stuff. And did you hear the statement made by Jeff Mittie, the women's coach at K-State, who said, well, hey, wait a minute. They didn't have all the bells and whistles on for the women. What's going on? And I agree with him. Yeah. That's BS.
I asked him about it. I didn't ask him about it. I was asking not Jeff Mittie, Gabe Swartz, who was on the show a lot, because I remember being told that the three-point line was going to light up after makes. It didn't do that in at least the first couple of rounds of the women's tournament. And you're seeing some extra features right now. I think last week might have been more of the test week for them.
But it's not right.
Yes.
It's not right for the play. The whole point of them playing here is in not being in a different city is so they can piggyback. And you don't piggyback by saying, well, we're going to do 100% for you and we're going to give 50% for you guys.
And for Jeff Mittie to speak to that shows that, they're disappointed.
Well, it's just weird to me.
Yeah.
I love the idea, and I love what Brett Yormark has done. Let's sell the league. Let's get after it. Let's don't be like, well, we're not as good as the SEC. No, let's go after it, and let's have the best tournament. And he wants to sell basketball separately, which is going to end up being a home run, I think, for the Big 12 because they are so good at basketball. So I admire the fact that they're trying things. The floor is not dangerous. You played on bad floors. I played on bad floors. I loved what one of the players, I don't know what school because it was a radio interview, said, hey, I grew up playing on blacktops. This seems pretty good to me. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I'd rather play on a sticky blacktop, though, than slick glass. I've walked on this one. That's very different from making the sharp turns that you do in basketball. I'll tell you what, at the 6 o'clock sports block, if you're interested in seeing this again, if you missed the Texas Tech game this morning, Christian Anderson pulled his groin because he slipped. And does that same injury happen on wood? He said in the press conference he doesn't think so. He said, obviously, this court is more slippery than the standard hardwood court. We won't get to know. We don't get to see the one-on-one, side-by-side comparison. But when players start talking about it, I think you become a little bit.
Was Patrick Mahomes at the game?
He was.
That's what I heard. I heard Mahomes is here. I saw a picture of one of my daughter's dear friends from high school who works for the Big 12. She got a picture with Andy Reid.
Cool. Yeah, he was there, and we just saw some BYU fans walking by us right now. I know Andy Reid.
Andy Reid just walked by?
Yeah, did you see
and
that?
You didn't?
No, that was not Andy Reid.
Oh,
although he's wearing a sweatshirt, you can't really tell. We can say that's Andy Reid. He's been here at the last couple BYU games, supporting his alma mater, of course.
Is that with Tyreek Hill? Is Andy with Tyreek Hill? Yeah. Oh my gosh! Now that's a story.
Folks. I know. Anyway, yeah, Patrick Mahomes.
Would you like?
Texas Tech.
By the way, would you like? I was asked this on radio earlier this week. Would you like it if Tyreek Hill came back? And I said, at the right price.
Sure. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think he's. This is a whole other can of worms. We could start another half hour, but.
Well, we got to kill 14 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you got? Let's see what you got.
No, I like the Tyreek Hill conversation.
He's mad at you.
I like the Tyreek Hill conversation. It becomes interesting when you think about why he left. For the price tag, I think you have to get him on a good deal coming back. He's coming off of a horrific
terrible knee injury.
Yeah, that was hard to watch. Well, we don't know.
Can you imagine the feature we could do with he and Mahomes and Tyreek Hill icing their knees down?
Their way in, yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun? Think they'd let me do it?
So it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see how free agency plays out. We got a little bit of a taste of that these last couple days, but see where the Chiefs go in the draft. But right price tag, and if Hill wants to come back and win another ring, this would be the place to do it.
I don't really want to talk free agency, but Tyreek is different. That's a different subject.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an interesting guy.
Yeah. A couple big moves this week. I mean, what do you think about the Chiefs signing the reigning Super Bowl MVP?
Well, if we get the guy, I say we, if the Chiefs get the guy who finished the season on the last 6 or 7 games, was by far the most productive running back in the postseason, sign me up.
Yeah.
But if it's the guy who has missed a bunch of games, and he's not a dog, no one questions his desire to play, but he's injury prone. And by the way, running backs get hit a lot, so that can happen. He's not been a lead dog that much. So I hope they find somebody, or that they feel like they've got a plan B to help him out, so that he's not. One of the reasons he did not play a bunch early in the year, he split carries early in the year with Seattle, was they wanted to keep him healthy.
Yeah.
So I hope the Chiefs can do the same thing. I think it's a real plus. Jeremiah Love's an unbelievable player, but he's a running back. The Chiefs need pass rush. Man, they need pass rush. They need DBs.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see, especially now with the McDuffie trade, that they have 2 first-round picks, which, Neil, I know selfishly will be more fun to cover, I think, on the first-round day than waiting until the very end.
Unless they trade down twice.
Yeah, that is a fair point. But yeah, bringing in Kenneth Walker is big. I think we all, Chiefs Kingdom, collectively thought bringing in at least an established guy, not a household name, but a guy who people know, versus hoping for another Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round who comes out and
he's like, isn't he 25?
Pacheco or Walker?
Walker,
yeah. Yeah,
so
he's young.
He's pretty young. Now, running backs age fast, and he has had some issues health-wise, like I said, but I think he's a really good player, and boy, was he a monster down the stretch.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, Neil, final thoughts before we head inside and get ready for these last 2 games of the evening session.
No, when I did it with, you said, Neil, on Monday I had to do this out in the parking lot.
With Des,
which
he's
and you
here.
said, you got to go to 30. You got to go to 30. You don't listen. You and Des got to go to 30. So we're talking roller derby. We were talking about our favorite prom, stuff like that to fill the time. Now but I'm excited about March, and I do feel that this kind of is, for me in a lot of ways, the tip off of the tournament. Because look, you can hate KU if you want, but you got to admit the fact that their fans are very passionate. Basketball fans, very passionate, very excited, and it makes it fun to come out here.
Yeah. And again, we're watching for Kansas seeding over the next couple of days. When we were talking about the Big 12 regular season title, because down the last 2 weeks there was a scenario when they could win it. That was just kind of icing on the cake. This is real. I mean, you talk about going for a 2 seed over a 5 seed, that really impacts your path to the championship. And I think we've seen this Kansas team at their best, what they're capable of against Iowa State at home, Arizona at home without Darren Peterson. At their best, this is a team that makes a really deep run.
That's why she's predicting another national championship. She said it earlier.
Fingers crossed. Hey, if I'm right, we're clipping this and we're pushing it back out in about a month. That'll do it for us here on KC Sports tonight. We're going to head inside. Thank you for watching, though, and we'll see you back here same time, same place tomorrow.
Last guy there, Jalen Daniels. What happened? Last guy there was Jalen. Jalen Daniels was there. He's the last guy that shot. Oh, really? I covered him yesterday. Hope he gets drafted. I love him. He's real athletic. 7 Saturdays. He had some tough games, but I respect him till the end of time. I think he's really killed having that never happened. Remember the Illinois game 2 years ago? Yeah, he was awesome. He throws that screen pass, gets taken back for a kick six. That's not a play they're going to run the other way. Give him an active view. He was not just trying to go back and feed the hard work. Come back. His coach really did. Yeah. He's a hard ass. Right. I got all respect for him. Wish it would have ended better for him, but I hope he makes it in for him. Yeah. I think he is going to get on the team. That's what it seems like. I mean, he's not going to be combine and stuff. Boys, good luck. Yeah. I'm cool. Me neither. All right. You're good.
Keep running into this guy. All right, reporting now.
Oh, no,
beautiful girlfriend Olivia.
How are you?
This is Neil. We're doing a fax check. Live View 7.
So here's why the Royals are going to win the World Series. All right, Salvador Perez is going to hit 35 home runs. Bobby Witt Jr. obviously going to win MVP. Cole Reagan, Cy Young. Vinny Pasquantino, did you see his 3 home runs last night? Of course he did. He's America's sweetheart now. And they're just going to be winning a lot of games, all because Neil Jones. All right,
We're in jail. I said no.
That's fair.
done, and we're on this floor above the lobby, and we had to shoot against the wall because the hotel was out. We wanted to know we were allowed to do that. So I said, it's going to be against the wall. It's just going to be and I want to. So we get in there, we got done, and I'm tearing down, and he's like, Neil, don't forget, you have to do a hit. And I go, we're going to have to do against the wall. Oh my gosh, so sorry, I've been distracted.
I have a live feed in like 2 seconds. Hang on,
Neil, I agree. First time just sitting on here.
I got it.
Go ahead. This is your mic.
Hi. Is this the... Can you hear me? Hello.
Are you dialed in?
Yeah. Yeah, hey, Jared, Red is asking if you can just do it.
If I...
Yeah.
You stand behind her like this.
I just...
It's good seeing you.
Yeah, good to see you.
No. We know who this is.
Red says hi. Hi. How much time I got for these? Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Stop, Hollis. It's good to be here in KCTV5.
Yeah. And we can use that sound since they play so late.
They wanted it. You and Neil.
I should have said Neil. Thank you.
Do they want me to go to the locker room? We can download the stuff from this well.
Yeah. Dave is going to shoot out a digital if you wanted to shoot TV style.
Bear down, let's go.
You're wearing a different shirt. I'd let you do it.
Still nobody's spit yet. That's good.
I'd like to keep that streak going. Okay.
Are we on live? Are we on live?
Will be.
The Big 12 tournament is in full swing. We're going to look ahead to KU's matchup tonight, their opening game, plus why one player says the court caused him to get injured today. That story coming up in just a few minutes. Greetings from day 2 of the Big 12 men's basketball tournament. No, quarterfinals? The quarterfinal round of the Big 12 men's basketball tournament. Lots of crimson and blue here this evening. That is because KU is tipping off for the first time later this evening.
Who's anchoring tomorrow?
Huh?
Who's anchoring tomorrow?
Mark.
So he's back.
Huh?
So he's back.
Yeah.
Is Katie off?
Yeah, so I'm going to have Mark out here doing what I did today. Coming out here and then going back. If KU wins, if they lose, then who cares? Hey.
Remember him on TV all the time? Good to see Mizzou in the house.
But yeah, that's no problem. I'll say, let's take a look at the bracket.
Well, you move to your left just a smidge.
We are halfway through the quarterfinal round of the Big 12 men's basketball tournament here at Kansas City's T-Mobile Center. A lot of crimson and blue flitting around behind me. That is because Kansas earned the double bye. They're getting ready to tip off in their opening game later this evening against TCU. Now, let's take a look at the bracket here to see how game play has been shaping up so far today. Iowa State taking the win. This place has been flooded with fans making the drive down from Ames. They will get to stick around another day to stay in Kansas City. Arizona, no surprise, they're taking care of UCF. BYU and Houston are underway right now. That is one KU fans are going to want to watch. If KU is able to win today, they will play the winner of that one going on as we speak. Now, something to watch for tonight is the LED glass court. It's generated a lot of conversation here today after Texas Tech star and projected first-round NBA pick Christian Anderson pulled his groin on this play earlier today. He said after the game, the Big 12's new court played a part. Over in the SEC tournament, Mizzou rallied back from down 14 against Kentucky today in the second round to take the lead with less than 3 minutes to go. But the Tigers, who earned a first round bye this week, are outscored down the stretch. They'll fall 78-72. Mizzou is on the bubble for the NCAA tournament. Their fate is now in the hands of the selection committee come this Sunday. Now, KU has earned the at-large bid, but this week they're playing for seeding. Potentially with a loss today, they could be looking at a 5. If they make it all the way to Saturday, maybe a 3, a 2 with a win. That is still wide open, so KU's play matters a lot this week to determine their path in the big dance later this month. But for now, reporting at the T-Mobile Center, Marlia Campbell, KCTV5 Sports.
When is it our turn on TV?
Thank you. We just got done.
Congress because this map splits up the Kansas City area into 3 sections. Now, the Missouri Supreme Court is actually mulling over another legal challenge, which is some of what you see here in this video, of whether state lawmakers had the authority to redraw district lines before the next census. So this story certainly, this story, it's not going away. There's a lot still going on here with this redistricting story in Missouri. All right, now moving on to St. Louis, a pretty big story out of there today where the county executive in St. Louis County floating the idea of St. Louis City rejoining St. Louis County. He says consolidation would save both the city and the county money. Corey Stark has more on what this could mean.
We need to be talking about other paths, and one of those paths that I'm hearing a lot about is further consolidation of services and perhaps even governments.
An extension of an olive branch, hoping to get the ball rolling. Amid a budget shortfall, St. Louis County Executive Sam Page is floating the idea that county government services could move into the city. St. Louis's Great Divide began in 1876 when the city and county divorced. St. Louis was a booming city with more than 300,000 people that made up nearly a fifth of Missouri's population. The rest of the county had fewer than 35,000 people. But when it came to county government, the city only had 2 out of 7 votes, while the surrounding rural areas had 5. The original vote to divide the two actually failed, but then a Missouri judge threw out the results, and in a recount, it passed. The St. Louis County leader's new stance comes as the county deals with massive budget issues. It has been fighting the problem for 20-plus years, and Page acknowledges that St. Louis's City Hall isn't big enough to house county workers in a unification. With all of this in the early stages, Mayor Kara Spencer acknowledges both governments need to get out of their silos.
I believe strongly we need not just a plan for development, but we need a regional identity that identifies St. Louis and puts us on the map for development, more broadly speaking.
All right, so KMOV TV, they went out to both the city and the county today to get reaction from people about this proposal. Here's what a couple of folks in the city had to say about it.
The city population is too small to sustain what we need here in the city, and so we need a larger tax base. The earnings tax is a good example. The earnings tax, I'm for the earnings tax. I'm going to vote to keep it, but it probably needs to be spread around the whole St. Louis County as well. Maybe if they did that, they could actually lower it, but more people could be paying into that pot.
If it's integrated in terms of just making people feel more comfortable about the city, because a lot of my friends that live in the county, you know, they all have these issues about the city, you know, and so I think if it feels more integrated, that would help as well.
Yeah, I don't have an opinion either way, honestly. I'm just kind of like, would need to know more information on it.
St. Louis County is large enough already, and so is the city, and it just seems like everything works well right now with keeping it separate.
There'll be some things that the county is not going to like. There'll be some things the city won't like, but you got to at least talk about it.
I think it's about time we do that. I think it'll save money in the long run. Everybody has their own police force, but if we combine them together, I think it'll help.
Merging that together in the midst of trying to get everything together with the police department, I don't think it'll be such a great idea at this time.
So there you just heard from 5 county residents as well about this potential proposed merger that the St. Louis County Executive floated today. Well, moving on now to southeast Missouri, where Cape Girardeau's airport manager says they've had no trouble filling seats on a new flight to Dallas. He hopes that success will lead to more growth in the future. We get more on this from Madison Orchard.
Dallas really opens up a lot with the connectivity to the West Coast. So a lot of the warmer regions in the wintertime, so that's been what's really pushed our numbers so far this winter, which really helps out.
5 flights to Dallas take off from the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport every week. Manager JoJo Stewart says they've had no trouble filling the seats.
They've been great
and we were hoping that that's what would happen. We're having a load factor right now of 78%. Huge success so far.
And Stewart says that success is good for the airport's future and could open discussions of adding more destinations.
Obviously, we want to grow and add more flights for the people in the region. And it's a lot easier to fly out of here if you live around here than having to drive to St. Louis or Memphis or Nashville or something like that. So they're definitely helping our numbers in that sense and making us look better for potential airlines.
All right, how about this next story? A former St. Louis City building inspector has been indicted for allegedly fraudulently using tax dollars in a controversial city program that he actually oversaw. So today he was charged with 3 counts of wire fraud. He's accused of steering millions of dollars in public money to companies that he created also for his own personal use. Lauren Traeger investigates.
Whose palms are getting greased? I don't know.
Suspicions from St. Louis property owners well over a year ago.
Nothing's level, nothing's even.
Concerned by shoddy or non-existent work done reportedly by city-paid contractors. In a series of reports, First Alert 4 Investigates told you about connections to a St. Louis City building inspector and those contractors in programs that use pandemic money to fix up public and private properties, then place liens so large owners feared they'd never pay.
This is my home. This is my home. This is my family's home. And I tell them, you can't have it.
We have exposed this corruption. You exposed the corruption. You did, Lauren. You did this.
Attorney Beavis Schock says new criminal charges are welcome news to property owners.
He was a flagrantly corrupt person.
The newly unsealed federal indictment accuses former St. Louis building inspector Adebanjo Papula of defrauding the public. In all, it says, by steering more than $4 million in the city programs, which Papula was involved in or oversaw, to 2 companies he or his family members created, profiting more than $1.6 million for his own personal use, the indictment says, for things like mortgage payments, car purchases and repairs, his Hawaii wedding, casino gambling, and more.
I can't talk to nobody.
Papula has declined to comment in the past. He'll have his first appearance in court Friday. Schock says for true accountability, though, prosecutors should still look to Papula's higher-ups at City Hall.
This is not a system without checks and balances, but the checks and balances did not work. That is very worrisome.
Schock is suing Papula, the city, its former mayor, and others. There's also an ongoing investigation by the state auditor. The indictment says the feds will try to seize Papula's assets, but we're still working to find out if, when, or how that money could come back to you, the taxpayer. I'm Lauren Traeger. First Alert 4 investigates.
Well, state and local crews around the state are trying to keep up with pothole patching. This is the time of year where we see more of them popping up on the roads. Shoshana Stahl checked out the situation in St. Louis County.
Pieces of the road thrown to the side here in St. Louis County as cars drive over massive holes in the ground where you can see the asphalt move with every turn of the wheel.
They're kind of big potholes, very deep actually. The other day, one of the potholes knocked my hood cap off.
For Devani Williams, it's hard to avoid potholes driving in the St. Louis region. Her car taking a beating on the roads.
I am supposed to be getting a new car, and this car has been through a lot with the potholes. So hopefully it's sooner than later that they fix the roads.
With the weather whiplash, it's no surprise more and more potholes are popping up.
This winter has been odd. I mean, what was it, 80 degrees like 3 days ago? And yesterday it was 30, so that contributes to the potholes.
In St. Louis County, the Department of Transportation says they work proactively and reactively to improve the roads. They rely on you to tell them where you see issues so crews can work on repairs.
They're going to encounter a pothole in the St. Louis County region in mid-March. I mean, it's inevitable. You're going to have them.
MoDOT says March is the peak month because of the temperature changes. But new this year, they're using the agency's pothole patcher truck, which uses compressed air to blow debris out of the pothole and then fills it. MoDOT says that does the work of crews who would otherwise be in danger on the roads.
This specifically is designed to keep boots off the ground
and we can fix all the holes from the cab.
Williams says not only do these potholes damage her car, but they're also a safety concern as she watches drivers swerve between lanes to avoid them.
Which is dangerous because it be somebody next to them sometimes, or it just distracts the driver behind them.
Now for your Show Me State weather. Here's your KY3 First Alert meteorologist.
Well, happy Thursday, everyone. Tonight, not too bad temperature-wise. Many dropping back in the mid to upper 40s out the door in the morning, with temperatures in the afternoon tomorrow back in the low to mid 50s for parts of northern and central Missouri. Low to mid 60s here for the southern half of the state, back above average for this time of year. We stay dry overnight tonight. A few passing clouds, but a lot of sunshine still for the day tomorrow. A quiet Friday, but tonight into tomorrow looking pretty breezy for some of you, especially in parts of northern and central Missouri. By around, let's say, 11 o'clock, gusts about 25 to 45 miles an hour will be possible across much of the state. The southern half not as breezy, maybe some gusts tonight around 30 miles an hour. And then tomorrow morning, 40 to maybe even 50 mile an hour gusts still for parts of northeastern over towards eastern Missouri. And then winds begin to become a little bit more mild by Friday afternoon. There is a wind advisory in place for parts of northern and central Missouri all the way through Friday morning. That does include Kansas City, Columbia, up towards Quincy. And we'll continue to look at winds, like I mentioned, dying down heading into Friday night, but then picking back up again later on next week. So here's what's happening. We have the jet stream, which is great at transporting cooler air. It's done that yesterday into the day today. Now it's beginning to lift back north with a warming trend Friday and into Saturday before the jet stream dips really far south into the southeast Sunday into Monday, pulling with it some very cold air here across the region for your Sunday afternoon and on Monday, and also bringing with it a chance for some rain and even a little bit of snow. Sunday morning waking up to some rain in parts of northern Missouri. Then into the afternoon, covering a larger portion of the state, some showers and storms that could pack a punch. Sunday is a first alert weather day. And then by the evening hours, looking at a very cold rain that will try and transition over into a bit of snow after the sun goes down, and some light snow hangs around Sunday night into your Monday morning. Few maybe early snow showers up towards St. Louis on Monday, while many begin to dry on out. Now there is also a low risk for severe storms here for some areas south of I-44 for Sunday afternoon and into the evening hours. Wind and hail, those primary threats, and very strong wind gusting Sunday and on Monday upwards of 40 to 50, maybe even 55 miles an hour again. That will create some pretty brutal wind chills in the single digits Monday morning. And then Monday afternoon in the 30s only for highs, 40s by Tuesday, and a nice big warm up on the way by the second half of next week. Now, up towards Kansas City, you're looking at 70s on Saturday. Some more rain and storms for you as well Sunday. By Monday, also looking at cooler temperatures, 12 degrees waking up in the morning, and you could potentially feel below zero. And then 70s and 80s Wednesday and Thursday.
Well, contractors and crews are very busy after this week's massive hailstorm in KC Metro. Some businesses say the damage is so widespread that they're having a hard time getting enough crews out there because of all the demand. Morgan Rydell has this story.
In order to solicit for roof work in Parkville, companies have to come here to City Hall to fill out a permit. The assistant city administrator, Jeff Rhodes, tells me in his 5 years here, he's only had a handful of these requests. But in just the last 2 days, they've had 60 new requests.
There are almost 3,000 households in Parkville, and most of them, if not all of them, probably have roof damage or gutter damage or window damage.
Rhodes actually started his own day on the roof of City Hall with insurance adjusters, not unlike most around town.
I mean, one of the roofers yesterday said this is a kind of a once in a generation type of hailstorm.
Due to the storms on March 10th, our office has been overwhelmed with phone calls.
We're in a situation where the demand has outstripped the supply, and so folks are coming in to fill that gap.
Turtle Roofing has been all hands on deck since Tuesday, even bringing in crews from other states to handle call volumes.
There's not enough roofers to be able to take care of all the damage that's in KC right now.
Dathan Prusha says he's been on dozens of roofs, in just the last few days.
And this is one of the first times that I'm seeing actual hailstones having gone through solar panels and stuff like that. I've seen shingles that have had hailstones go all the way down to the decking and stuff like that. So it's pretty bad damage.
Around downtown, they found total losses. One of those, deviant kava.
It took about 50 photos and told us it was pretty much totaled.
Not the news they wanted, but with so much damage around them, co-founder Alex Queliuri says they're just glad to get someone up so fast.
So it was good to see that there are options available to get everything fixed sooner rather than later.
In addition to these roofing companies in town, city leaders say so are scammers. They recommend doing your own research before going with an estimate. Reporting in Parkville, Morgan Rydell, KCTV5 News.
All right, we all know that the price of gas is up, the price of groceries, and so are the home heating costs. Now, for some, it feels like they're getting squeezed from every single direction. Connor Trett spoke to two agencies in Springfield that say they're seeing more people reaching out for help, and they want folks to know that assistance is available for them.
Jordan Browning with Ozarks Food Harvest says that the nonprofit has seen a recent increase in demand across the 28 southwest Missouri counties they service. He says they're servicing an additional 20,000 more people a month than just a couple of years ago.
And we attribute that to the normal economic conditions that a lot of people were seeing, increased housing prices, increased child care expenses. But a big one factor that was at towards the end of the year was the government shutdown. And that has taken a while for folks to recover because a lot of folks were missing out on SNAP benefits and paychecks.
And the increase in demand is not only with food services. Ozarks Area Community Action Corporation says that high utility bills can quickly turn into a crisis, especially after periods of extreme heat or cold when past due balances roll into the next month.
I mean, we're seeing bills $1,000, $1,500. When we had that cold snap, we had one or two, I believe. That's when we saw the utility bills really go high.
OCAC's low-income home energy assistance program, LIHEAP, has had thousands of households taking advantage of their one-time energy assistance benefits and winter crisis funding that keep electricity, heating, and air conditioning on in eligible homes.
As far as the winter program, we've already spent and paid on utility bills for 2,827 households, a little over $1 million. And that's just winter crisis funding. And then energy assistance, we're already over 10,000 and hitting $3 million, in 5 months.
Both agencies say that they're here to help those in need, and there shouldn't be a stigma around asking for help.
Any of those scenarios that could happen to any of us, a broken down car, a roof caves in, a tornado comes through, those programs are there to make sure that you get through those smoothly and your family's not in a worse state with those scenarios.
Programs are out there for everybody to apply. Some people think that maybe they won't be eligible for the program, but it's best you apply and let us do our jobs. The need is out there, and so I want people to apply.
All right, moving on now, we are going to do a story about the Country Club Plaza in Kansas City. It's a longtime staple in that plaza, closing down after 30 years. But plaza leaders say that new stores and announcements are in the works. We get more on this from Grace Smith.
For more than a century, the Country Club Plaza has drawn shoppers, families, and businesses from across the region. But it's not just a place to shop and get a bite to eat. Millions of families build memories here.
Back in the 50s, we would come down here for Easter, the Easter parade.
Madeline Bowden could tell you a few stories.
In high school, we would all gather at Winstead's, that was just not too far, and many memories, a lot of memories.
The buildings stand, but the stores and restaurants inside change.
They come and go. I mean, it's part of it.
That's my favorite store and I'm sad. Three Dog Bakery just announced its closing after 30 years on the plaza.
And I am very sad that the store is closing.
Candace Hayes is one of their regulars.
My dogs love the cookies, very much. They hear the wrapper hurling back and they're not even in the kitchen with me and they come running.
While another door closes, more are opening.
Everything's been behind the scenes. We haven't been able to talk about things.
Plaza spokesperson Caroline Hogan says she gets it, but they're asking shoppers to look ahead with several new stores and big announcements on the way.
I understand and we understand how important the plaza is, and we take that very seriously. We take so much pride in the plaza just as everyone else does, and we want to bring it back to its glory as well, and we feel like it is in its glory.
Bowden says the stores may change, but she will keep coming back.
And it's hard these days to make a business last. Everybody says, oh, I love the plaza. Well, do you ever come down?
All right, now we are going to go back to the St. Louis area. We are going to go to St. Charles County, where, of course, we know that the region of St. Louis, critical to so many industries, but it's also an ecosystem superhighway, so to speak. Thousands of ducks and eagles, foxes, and other native animals. They have a permanently protected home there. And this is largely thanks to the foresight of one outdoorsman, also a truly unique partnership in St. Charles County. Avery Martinez takes us to the 700-acre wetland park. It's designed to protect crucial ecosystems for birds.
A gentleman named Mo Booter bought this property in 1958 with the goal of creating a waterfowl hunting club. Mo used to call them his boys and girls, and he wasn't talking about his daughters or son. The boys and girls were his ducks.
And folks who knew Mo say he treated them like children, creating a permanent home on his land to protect them even after Dad passed away.
He had the 330-acre inviolate refuge back there that hasn't been hunted since he bought the property. He would manage that and maintain it for hundreds of thousands of ducks.
As ducks face a shortage of habitat, as construction and agriculture eat up their wetland homes. But the Henges Wetland Park offers a balance, with half the area for wetlands, half for agriculture and hunting in the middle.
It's not just for the ducks. It's really about all wildlife. Great Rivers Habitat Alliance is protecting the 100-year floodplain for the benefit of all wildlife, but also people.
And the things ducks need to survive.
The isopods, copepods that are out there that these birds will be feeding on as they move north.
Only possible through a unique partnership, rare as some of the frequent flyers here.
The partnership between the department and Great Rivers Habitat Alliance and now St. Charles County Parks. And you know, partnerships are really what's key here.
And they share a goal to connect humans directly to these rare spaces and beautiful animals.
Created a really truly unique experience that serves the citizens of St. Charles County as well as the important Mississippi Flyway here.
As the confluence of the Mississippi, Missouri, and Illinois rivers create a spot you can't find anywhere else on Earth.
And it's really a national treasure.
Which Mike hopes will be recognized.
On par with places like the Gulf Coast of Louisiana or Chesapeake Bay. It's a critical migratory corridor.
One that will stand for generations to come, just like Mo intended. For First Alert 4, I'm Avery Martinez.
All right, Avery, thanks for bringing us that story. This next is like a scene out of a movie. The Notebook. A dying couple wanted to be together during their last days, and so a lot of people worked together to make sure that that did happen. Steve Harris has this story.
Ron and Lita Roth met at a club in St. Louis, and for the next 25 years they were together.
It felt like a movie.
In good times and hard times. And the hardest time of all started in July of last year when Lita had a stroke. And a few months later, Ron had a massive heart attack.
He was admitted to St. Joseph, and she was in Christian Northeast.
For the first time in a long time, they were apart. But their niece, Africa Harris Johnson, made a promise to Lita.
And I promised her I would try to get them together.
And so on December 19th, Lita was moved here to be with her husband, Ron. Now, they were on 2 different floors, and as their conditions got worse, Ron asked his nurse for a favor.
His love for his wife was just so amazing. Just looked at me and said, I am not dying until I see my wife. And so I said, okay.
There was a lot of hoops to jump through to get permission to do it, but we really wanted to make it happen.
Lita was moved to Ron's room.
I asked that they face the beds together.
And after being unresponsive for days,
as they rolled her in, her eyes opened, and everyone cried, and they were able to hold hands, and I felt like my assignment was finished.
Lita's sister Isabel Harris and her husband Flarzell were there.
That first time they saw each other, it was amazing too. Yeah.
A short time later, they were separated again.
Before Ron took his last breath, she opened her eyes again, and she watched the monitor as he flatlined. And then once he flatlined, she looked over at him, and tears fell from her eyes.
But 5 days later, Lita and Ron were reunited, this time for eternity.
They were able to do their vows, their covenant of death do us part.
Living and dying together.
I couldn't have asked for a better ending.
Steve Harris, First Alert 4.
We are back again tomorrow for Show Me State News. We are on the following channels here, the web channels of KY3, KCTV5, First Alert 4, KFVS, and WGEM. Live streaming again tomorrow at 7 o'clock. You can also catch us on the KY3 News app. We're also on Roku and Fire TV and Apple TV as well. So thanks so much for stopping by tonight. And if you're in the Springfield area, be sure to join me for the News at 9 on the Ozarks CW. Have a great night, everyone, and tomorrow's Friday. Take care.
Thank you for watching. Join us again tomorrow night at 7 for KY3's Show Me State News with Rob Macco.